see that we have some very interesting weather for these next few days or so. I was nervous about not having anything to talk about. Luckily, plenty of stuff to talk about. So we're going to start here with current satellite. Pretty easy to see. Very, very broad mid-latitude system over much of the central United States. It's actually been bringing heavy snow and blizzard-like conditions across northern Nebraska, South Dakota, up through Minnesota. What I would like to do, well, before I actually get into that, this was the SPC outlook for yesterday for North Nebraska into Kansas. So pretty interesting to see the risk of severe weather so close to blizzard warnings and watches. So this is where the current NWS watches and advisories are and warnings. So you can see right where there was just an enhanced region, not too far away, is winter weather advisories and blizzard warnings. So always fun to see some highly variable and interesting spring weather. The current surface analysis has, here's our low included out into northern Missouri. Cold fronts draped over Texas, and our warm front-ish struggling to reach us. One thing I do want to take a quick look at before we move on is right here in southern Minnesota. Went really close here, but here is the where's the temperature, and let me throw on I know this can do lightning, but there it is. So here, all these little dots are where the GOES satellite is detecting lightning. And you can see right here is roughly your 30-degree isotherm. So you've got thunder and lightning occurring, when the surface is below freezing. So a lot of thunder snow going on right now in much of central Minnesota. Yesterday and a few days before that, actually had freezing hail, I guess if I wanted to call it that. This was a sounding from Thursday, I believe. Yes. No. Whatever. This was for yesterday, actually, for northeastern Nebraska. And you can see maybe that the surface temperature is right at 32 degrees, or at least the forecast was for 32 degrees. Pretty steep temperature inversion right above the boundary layer at 850. And then, again, steep lapse rates. So you have this pretty intense elevated layer of CAPE, which allows the possibility of hail. There were baseballs, I believe, baseball-sized hail with a situation like this before in 2013. That didn't necessarily take hold. Don't want to accidentally mess up here. These were the storm reports for yesterday. Some hail littered through southern Nebraska and northern Kansas. So cool to see that work out. Last night, I believe I pulled it up. This one of our students here at Penn State, Nick Norman, actually captured this last night. But this was a screen grab from radar scope of a severe thunderstorm with lots of lightning and radar scope precip depiction actually showing snow. I can't personally tell you whether or not it was snow. I couldn't find any obs at the time, unfortunately. It's really interesting to see a lot of varied weather. Also associated with the cyclone, a lot of heavy wind, or strong winds rather, across much of south central plains, Texas, Oklahoma. And looking on satellite yesterday, there were, I believe it was White Sands National Monument being picked up and dust lofted all the way from New Mexico and into Texas. And even people in Oklahoma have been talking about getting some dust ejected in because of those strong winds. So what will this storm do over the next few days? It'll continue. It's pretty much at peak maturity. Strong occlusion as well into the next few days as the low treks up towards the upper Great Lakes regions. But the cold front stretched all the way down will continue to progress eastward as the rest of the storm does. Here's the WPC's idea of what these fronts will look like as the system continues to push eastward. So here we are, I guess tomorrow morning rather. You can see the warm front starting to approach Pennsylvania with the cold front behind it. That'll try to push through. The cold front doesn't actually seem to want to make it all the way through. It ahead of our next system coming in for Saturday night into Sunday. Gave that away there. But just a quick recap of some of the extremely favorable dynamics that we've been having. Not only for the system that we're dealing with right now, but also for that system for Saturday and Sunday. So here's your 500 millibar heights and vorticity. So pretty robust vortmax across the Front Range of the Rockies and into Great Plains. Plenty of support for cyclogenesis there, and that kind of fades off, and then we have another wave pretty far down into Texas, and that'll give a lot of the positive vorticity advection for the cyclogenesis of that next weekend storm. Going even further up, we'll take a quick look at the jet stream and see how that could help out as well. Again, this is for today's system, the central United States storm. Here's our jet streak, if you will, kind of really elongated one per se, but right near favored upper level divergence. There's the surface low, not too surprising there. And here, if we want to move on to our weekend storm Saturday into Sunday, not as intense of a jet, but still favorable dynamics up there. So a big part of this next weekend storm Saturday into Sunday is actually a big severe weather threat, specifically for extreme eastern Texas, northern Louisiana. This is the SPC's 3-day outlook for severe weather. You can see that there's a hash of enhanced risk, again, right in that area of extreme eastern Texas, northern Louisiana. Pretty much the story with this is there is a lot of favorable conditions for severe weather to take place, and right in this area. So if we first take a look at, I'll pull up the 850 winds. I gotta zoom out. This is terrible. So here is a look at the 850 winds. So if we go Saturday afternoon, pretty noticeable low-level jet extending across out of the Gulf and into the area at risk. If I will do so, I'll cherry pick a sounding for all of you. See what we're really dealing with here. Let's go to Monday. So if we take a look at Saturday afternoon, I believe it was the 21. See. Still Sunday at 3. All right, cool. So here is 21Z. We've got just about 300 joules per kilogram of surface cape. Pretty much no sin to speak of aside from that. And again, your shear profile is very favorable for rotation down here. Also, the surface is pretty much saturated, so your low level moisture is definitely favorable for some low LCLs and favorable cape. So we'll have to see how this forecast pans out. I mean, having an enhanced day 3 this early in the season, pretty high confidence that it's going to be some pretty frightening weather down in Louisiana. But I guess closer to home, we have to ask ourselves what Pennsylvania's weather will look like over the next few days. And we've got a big event coming up this weekend with blue and white, and everyone's hounding the forecast, trying to see what will the weather be like. We will be sandwiched, as we've been talking about, between these two systems. We've got this first one coming through tonight. Yeah, here we go. Tonight, or rather tomorrow night, I'm sorry. Friday into Saturday, cold front sweeps out some of the moisture and then kind of tries to stall before that next system comes through. So we retreat back to the WPC and its idea of what the fronts will do. So here's this cold front that was part of the first system that kind of drapes itself over central Pennsylvania, and then we jump forward to 12Z Sunday, and that same cold front is still here. It looks like it's going to become part of that next system. So we're wedged right in between these two systems, and it's going to be pretty dicey to see, how many clouds we'll get throughout the day, and as a result, how warm could it get for not only Saturday but the game itself. So just a quick look at maybe what some clouds will look like for Saturday. I'll pull up 3 kilometer NAM. So at least, the NAM's depiction of what we'll look at on Saturday, pretty clear across much of Pennsylvania, at least, in the morning hours, and maybe some clouds building into the afternoon, late part of the game. So if this clearing actually does turn out to happen, I definitely think we'd be able to mix well and hit some pretty favorable temperatures. The idea right now, I know the temperature's been trending up over the past few days. Right now we're sitting right in the upper 60s, maybe even hitting the lower 70s for the day on Saturday. So we'll really have to see maybe how much this cold front will actually, affect our weather for the day on Saturday. Will it, push all the way east of us? Will it hang right over us or west of us? And I think that'll help determine. I picked the worst spot to put this down. Yeah, help us determine how how clear we get on the day on Saturday, and how warm we'll actually be able to get for the game. I really tore through everything I wanted to talk about, actually. So I guess that's all I have for now. I'll take a look and see maybe what we're looking at after for Saturday and into Sunday. So with that second system, this Zoom really sucks. With the second system, definitely the chance for some widespread heavy rains, maybe a few heavy downpours at times Sunday night into Monday. But it looks like that system should clear out by Monday night into Tuesday, and perhaps maybe turning a little windier, in the wake of it. But so, not surprising to see temperatures falling off back to about average. I think we're going to be spoiled the next few days and into the weekend. So getting pretty lucky this year with blue and white. Hopefully we stay as warm as modeled right now. I know the last 2 years haven't been the warmest in recent history, but hopefully we'll be able to turn that around this year. For what it's worth, here's the SREF plumes for the area. Unfortunately, the SREFs can only give us data over here on the other side of the ridge, so it's really not that great of an analog. But for what it's worth, a lot of the members, notably, I believe it's the ARWs specifically, like to keep us more on the mild side, while the NMB core is much colder. So pretty split between the two cores and the SREFs, but generally speaking, pretty favorable temperatures. I mean, anything above 60 I think would be pretty nice, but if we could hit 70 degrees for the day on Saturday, I think everyone would enjoy that. Simon's here, I don't think he would. Yeah, but I think that is all I have. If anyone has any questions, be willing to take a look at anything that you guys have.
Any questions for Dave? Okay, well, thank you very much.